Never let the competition define you. Instead, you have to define yourself based on a point of view you care deeply about. Tom Chappell. Standing only at 6'6", Draymond Green is obviously not the tallest defender in the NBA, and he's certainly not the most athletic among the pack. He has all the excuses in the world to just be a mediocre defender, but instead, when it's all said and done, the man is going to be the first ballot Hall of Famer. The truth is, what Steph Curry is on offense, Draymond Green is on defense. So what is it exactly that makes Draymond Green such a good defender despite his clear lack of height and athleticism? Well, that's exactly what we're going to go over today in full detail. First off, let's kick off this video by examining his defense in one-on-one situations against the premier scorers in the NBA.
Out of Oregon State, and he has been a difference maker.
In this sequence right here, you can see that Draymond was able to use his wide body to fend off the brush screen coming from Bembry, and despite the momentary delay, he was able to recover quickly and got back just in time to contest and bother KD's baseline jumper to force a miss from one of the greatest scorers the NBA has ever seen. In this next play, Draymond held his ground and stuck like a leech against LaMelo, and although the former Rookie of the Year did shake Draymond just a tad, the 2016 Defensive Player of the Year forced LaMelo to a tough, low-percentage contested step-back three. Here against the driving Kelly Oubre, Draymond kept low and was able to match the quickness of Oubre before finally stripping the ball and forcing a turnover.
Has been on display.
And finally, Draymond here used the verticality rule and perfectly timed the swipe against Ja Morant, who had a full head of steam going to the rim. Anyway, moving on here, guys. Draymond has always been confident about his defensive ability, and I love the fact that he's even claimed that he's the best defender in NBA history. When an ESPN reporter asked Draymond what sets him apart from other defense-first players like Bam Adebayo, Ben Simmons, and most especially Rudy Gobert, here's what he had to say. "You didn't name one person who can control the game from the defensive side of the floor. I think what Gobert does on the defensive side of the ball is incredible. I think the way he protects the rim is incredible. But defense is more than just protecting the rim. Y'all don't judge defense the same way you judge offense. There is no offensive situation where you don't want Steph Curry on the floor. There is no offensive situation where you don't want James Harden on the floor. There is no offensive situation where you don't want LeBron James on the floor. Well, guess what? There's no defensive situation where you don't want me on the floor." Now, aside from guarding the best of them in mano-a-mano scenarios, Draymond also puts his basketball IQ to good use when orchestrating the defense to make sure everyone's in position.
Right? That's why they are good. Steph Curry, heck yeah, unbelievable. All the other guys, good, but Steph and the whole team.
Check out this play here against the Raptors. Gary Trent curls for a pin-down action, but Draymond was on top of this play and signals Curry to switch with him. After the switch, Draymond still has the presence of mind to bother the shot attempt by Siakam as he beelined his way to the cup. Now, in this next defensive sequence against the Nets, Draymond knew that KD and Blake would run a two-man game, so he anticipated it by knocking the ball off the pass to force a steal. What's remarkable about Draymond's defensive prowess is his tremendous footwork. As you've seen in the last few defensive clips, he could keep in step with the best of them just by sliding laterally, and the thing is, he moves so efficiently and has been very agile around the court this season.
Get caught watching because they do a good job moving and passing the basketball.
In that regard, here's Draymond spilling the secrets about their defensive training this past offseason. "We do a lot of work on defensive sliding, the crossover step, the drop step, just different things. We'd be in the gym doing defensive slides and crossover steps, which helps you with recovery. You get beat and your crossover step is important, you can't keep sliding. You've got to make up that ground. So we do a ton of that, a ton of explosive stuff, a ton of things working on my lateral quickness. How fast can you jump after the first jump? Different things like that." On top of being a vocal leader on the defensive end as well as a lockdown one-on-one defender, you can also see his basketball IQ even when he's not in the picture. The following clips that I'm about to show you will highlight Draymond's impact as a weak side helper. When Curry's gamble didn't pay off in this play, KAT decided to attack as he got a clear advantage going to the rim. Looney was able to provide help momentarily, as you can see here, but it wasn't enough to fully neutralize KAT's attempt. Draymond recognized this situation and he quickly slid inside to swat the shot, thus preventing the T-Wolves from scoring an easy 2. In this next play here, when Curry got beat by McCollum, Draymond was there once again coming off the weak side to help and reject CT's floater. And then in this next play here against the Grizzlies, everyone knows that Jackson Jr. is just going to pound the much smaller OPJ all day long. So when Jackson was about to go up for the shot, Draymond's presence was there yet again, this time to strip the leather away from the big man to force yet another turnover. Now, moving on here. If you think he's only good at defense when there are other players helping him, here's Draymond playing defense in transition all by his lonesome self. Check out this play from last season. After turning the ball over, the Pacers led a 3-on-1 fast break. In whichever way you look at this, a 3-on-1 is a sure 2 on the other end in textbook basketball. But the last man standing on defense is Draymond in this situation, so that principle doesn't apply to this play. This guy just doesn't ever give up on defense. Draymond's impressive showing didn't go unnoticed. In fact, coaches around the league give praise to his defensive effort, and this includes the great Greg Popovich, who gave a detailed breakdown on what makes Draymond so special as a defensive player. In his words, the first thing is a natural affinity and desire to be a great defender. When you say, what's a natural affinity? Understanding spatial arrangements, being able to do work early, understanding angles and distances, having the desire to stop an opponent, but at the same time, understanding how that's done with wisdom. It's not with reaching or blazing speed, it's about position, and some people understand their body position better than others. If one of the greatest coaches of all time said these great words about Draymond's defense, then what does that say about his claim as the best defender in NBA history? Anyway, aside from his tremendous footwork, defensive IQ, and ability to clamp players in one-on-one situations, and as a help defender, the other thing that separates Draymond from other defensive stalwarts in the league is his versatility. Whether the guy he's guarding is smaller or bigger than him, Draymond knows how to position himself and uses strength to cover for his weakness. As Curry is being backed down by LBJ in this play, Draymond tries to cover ground by helping the chef on the block. LeBron recognizes the double team coming, so he swings the ball to Westbrook. Westbrook quickly attacks the rim, but Draymond shuts him off using his body and length, and this forces Brody to pass the ball back in the corner for a tough contested shot. In this backdoor play against the Celtics, you can clearly see that Draymond lags several steps behind Tatum. The Celtics star thinks he's got a wide open lane ahead of him, but once again, Draymond was there to spoil the party by meeting him upstairs to block his shot. Here's his matchup against the bigger Larry Nance Jr. As you can see, Draymond got beaten in the closeout right here. But that doesn't matter as Draymond is quick enough to cover the ground he lost, and amazingly, he was able to block his shot and save the possession without committing a foul while falling out of bounds. Crazy. Now, aside from all this stuff that we have seen in his defensive game, I think what separates Draymond from the rest of the competition in terms of playing defense is his tenacity. Specifically, his unparalleled effort and energy in each defensive sequence, and this includes doing the dirty work like diving for loose balls and making hustle plays that you don't usually see in the stat sheet. With all the statements and defensive evidence that I just showed you in this video, are you now not convinced that Draymond Green is the best defender in the NBA? Anyway, we're going to change topics now from one great defender to another. I'm talking about Gary Payton II. This guy has been turning heads recently with his defensive tenacity, which often ends in highlight reel dunks. But did you all know that he once almost gave up on basketball? Yeah, I'm not kidding around either. I mean, I got the video for you right here if you don't believe me. It's a pretty crazy video, guys, and I'm so glad he stuck with the sport. I don't want to ruin anything here for y'all, so just click the video, and like always, I'll see you on the other side.